Hello guys, how you all are doing? I hope you are healthy and doing well in your studies. Today we are going to interact with very peaceful topic, that is UN peacekeeping, and we will also look at for what United Nations medal is awarded for and why is it in current affairs. So first, to understand UN peacekeeping, we should know what is United Nations. For that, I'll make you guys rewind your memory and stop in 1920s. What actually was important in those years? The countries were in conflict with each other, as we all know, and because of industrialization was just initiated in those years, the countries were in conflict. And because of the conflict and the wars, we not only just lost our lives, but also the funds. To avoid this loss of life and finances, some 15 countries came up with the idea of United Nations. So the reason was war, and to overcome the war, the situation what we need is obviously peace among the nation. So here we go. We have got the role to perform for the United Nations. That is obviously to save the succeeding generation from the scourge of war so that our lives can be saved and finances indirectly will actually be saved. So our organization, that is United Nations, is ready now with its role to perform. But for such a huge organization to work, we obviously require a set of pillars which it should focus upon. So we have three important pillars of United Nations, and those are protection of world peace, as we have seen why peace, also the protection of human rights, and also the protection of the development of the countries. We all know that is United Nations have 193 member countries of the United Nations. Now, which include both developing as well as the developed countries from all around the globe. Now coming to the important part, that is United Nations peacekeeping. To understand United Nations peacekeeping, I will cover this part in three important points. That is, what is the role of United Nations peacekeeping? Second, what is the constitutionality of the United Nations peacekeeping? And third, what is the composition of United Nations peacekeeping? So let's start with the first point, that is role. Its function is to save the United Nations from going into relevance. What? Irrelevance? Yes, guys. We saw that relevance of United Nations was in maintaining peace. So to catalyze this function of United Nations, we have United Nations peacekeeping as a part of United Nations. In one word, simply, the function of the United Nations peacekeeping is to just maintain peace among the member countries. Now coming to the second point, that is constitutionality of United Nations peacekeeping. We have United Nations as Constitution of United Nations. United Nations Charter is the Constitution of United Nations, which includes 5 principal organs of United Nations. Now I'm not going into nitty-gritties of it, and I want you guys to question that is United Nations peacekeeping is a constitutional body? The answer is no. Yes guys, no. That means that United Nations peacekeeping is an extra constitutional body. But one important thing is to be noted that United Nations peacekeeping is not implicitly mentioned in the Constitution, but it is explicitly mentioned through the organization in the Constitution, that is United Nations Security Council. Yes guys, explicitly mentioned through the organization in Constitution through United Nations Security Council. United Nations Security Council is a part of a constitution and obviously is among the 5 principal organs of United Nations. Guys, it plays a very important role for United Nations peacekeeping in the form that it authorizes peacekeeping mission. Authorize means allow member nation to establish, maintain and expand the contingents. Contingents here means nothing but the group of the troops. Why member nations? That will look after in some time. Before that, coming to the third point, that is composition of the United Nations peacekeeping. Guys, it includes two departments, that are Department of Peace Operation and Department of Operational Support. Now we know that nothing works without finances, and therefore United Nations peacekeeping also requires finances for its working, which is collective responsibility of its members. Now, what if members don't contribute? To avoid that, we have Article 17 of United Nations Charter. It makes members of the United Nations to finance the United Nations peacekeeping. In what way? So, the members are legally obligated under Article 17 of the United Nations Charter. Now you guys may be thinking that on one hand I told you that United Nations peacekeeping is extra constitutional. Now Article 17 of the United Nations Charter. To answer that, let me tell you guys that Article 17 deals with the finances and not with the United Nations peacekeeping. That is, the finances of United Nations as a whole organization and not solely with the United Nations peacekeeping finances. We saw that member countries are authorized by United Nations Security Council to establish contingents. So to substantiate it, let me make you guys know that United Nations have no standing army of its own, and therefore as a member to contribute, ask member to contribute for the troops. Now, contribution of troop is not an obligation like the finances. So, the contribution of the troops by the member country is voluntary in nature and not legally obligated. Now we have principles on which United Nations peacekeeping works. These are three in number, that is consent of the parties, impartiality, and no use of force except in legitimate defense and in the defense of mandate. Starting from the first, that is consent. Let us take an example that there are three countries A, B and C. A is on the verge of conflict with some country B. So, country C wants to deploy its troop in country B. For that, consent of country C and B is required. And who will take the consent of the countries? United Nations Security Council, as it is authorized in the Constitution. And it itself, that is United Nations Security Council, on the other hand, authorizes the member nation whose troops will be deployed in the country B. Now coming to the second point, that is impartiality. So the troops of country C should not differentiate between the members of country A and country B. Now the countries are not authorized to use the force, but if a situation arises in which they have to use the force, so the exceptions are there in which in the legitimate defense and in the defense of the mandate they can use the force. We have covered all the basics and fundamentals of the United Nations peacekeeping. Now coming to the main agenda of the United Nations peacekeeping, that are the mission of the United Nations peacekeeping. So going back to the first mission, and the first mission was done in the Israel and the Arab neighbors, that is in the Middle East, which was done through the Armistice Agreement. Through Armistice Agreement, the Israel and Arab neighbors were asked, or the consent was taken to deploy the contingent in those countries. So why the Israel and Arab neighbors? Because at that time the Arab Spring was happening and the countries in the Middle East were in conflict with each other. One most important point to be noted about the mission is that it does not only include army troops, that is, it does not only include the army personnel of the respective countries, but also includes soldier, police and civilian personnel. Now the mission are flexible in configuration. That means no minimum and maximum limit of the troops, that is the number of troops, are fixed. Till date we have 15 operations in 5 continents. Continent does not mean North America, South America, Africa, Antarctica, no. Here continent means Africa, America, Asia, European Union and the Middle East. Now looking at the role of India in United Nations peacekeeping in deploying troops in the member or in the conflicted regions. To know that, going back to the Korean War in 1950. In the Korean War, India for the first time deployed its troops. Till date, India had 15 missions in its record. Adding to it, in the last 70 years, Indian troops have lost their life, highest in the number, in deploying as peacekeepers. And overcoming the gender bias, Indians have the long tradition of deploying all women troops as peacekeepers. In 2007, India had for the first time deployed all women contingent in the country Liberia. Here we can see the countries in which Indians performed as peacekeepers, that are Haiti in Americas, Western Sahara, Liberia, Democratic Republic of the Congo and South Sudan in Africa, Cyprus in Europe, and Lebanon, Israel and Syria in Middle East. Now, let me recall you the times when our parents used to give us chocolate when we have the exam, when we were to take exams, and to boost up our energy, our parents used to give us the chocolate so that we can perform best for the exam. In the same way, United Nations Peacekeeping award UN medal to the troops so that they can outperform and function well and stay boosted in their functions. What is the criteria of the award? The award is given to the personnel who are or who have been in the service. Currently, India has been awarded the UN medal to the peacekeepers in the country South Sudan. Coming to the map of South Sudan, we have Sudan in the north, Central African Republic in the west, Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda in the south, Kenya in the east and Ethiopia in the east. And we have important river in the South Sudan, that is White Nile. Now coming to the indexes of the United Nations peacekeeping, first I used to think that there is only one index, but when after I reached or went through the United Nations peacekeeping official site, I got two indexes, one for the troop contribution and second for the finance contribution. In the troop contribution, we have Ethiopia at the first. That means Ethiopia contributes highest number of troops as contingent. So we have Ethiopia, then Bangladesh, then Rwanda, then Nepal, and at the fifth we have India. One thing to be noted here is that we don't have United States. Coming to the index of top contributors of finances, we have all the most rich countries so that they can pour their finance in the United Nations peacekeeping, and they are United States, China on the second, Japan, Germany and United Kingdom. So guys, remember this thing, we have India on the fifth in the troops contribution and we don't have India in the top 10 in the finance contribution. And Ethiopia is the first ranker in the troop contribution and United States in the finance contribution. So guys, recalling everything we saw at the pillars of the United Nations, then UN peacekeeping, that UN peacekeeping is extra constitutional, United Nations Security Council authorizes the peacekeeping mission, then we saw the finances, then we saw three principles, that is consent of parties, impartiality and no use of force with exceptions, then missions and armistice agreement, and then India and peacekeeping. And all about United Nations medal, that India was awarded with United Nations medal in South Sudan. So this is for today guys. I hope you all liked my video, and also don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Thank you so much.